Now you listen to me. You've got the greatest meth cook in America. No, the two greatest meth cooks in America right here. And with our skills, you'll earn more from that 35% than you ever would on your own.
Yeah, so you say. Just wondering why we're so lucky. Why cut us in?
Mike is retiring from our crew, so his share of the partnership is available if you can handle his end, distribution. And if you give him $5 million of the $15 million that you brought today, just think of it as a finder's fee for bringing us together. We have 40 pounds of product ready to ship. Ready to go. Are you ready?
Who the hell are you?
You know. You all know exactly who I am. Say my name.
You what? I don't have a goddamn clue who the hell you are.
Yeah, you do. I'm the cook. I'm the man who killed Gus Fring.
Bullshit. Cartel got Fring.
You sure? That's right. Now, say my name.
Heisenberg.
You're Gundam right.
All right, everyone, welcome back to Gundam at MAHQ. This is one of your hosts, Neo, and joining me always is Soulbro and Chris. Guys, tread lightly.
The saga continues.
Are you alive, Chris?
Justice. Oh, Batman!
Well, I didn't know you were at Chris's house, Batman.
Oh,
Where's the detonator? Where is it?
What detonator? What are you talking about?
Where's the detonator?
What detonator? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have
Tell me
any.
what I need to know.
where are the drugs going?
I don't know.
Where to me?
Just here doing a podcast about giant robots, fictional robots. Why isn't there a Batbot? Why isn't there a Bat Mecha?
Think there isn't?
Well, what is it? Still, is it in the Black Ops in the proprietary section of Wayne Industries? Is that what's going on? Or I mean,
Lucius is working on it.
yeah, Lucius working for you.
I got ripped off by some bastard named Stark.
Ooh. Corporate espionage, man. That
Ripped
paranoia.
off, or is he just doing stuff better?
He's just a low-rent version of me.
Damn.
Well, he kind of was 5 years ago. So
Now
you
he makes
excited
more
that
money at the box office than I do.
are you excited that you're gonna in a few years team up with good old Superman in a nice movie called Superman versus Batman or Batman versus Superman, whatever it's called?
I'll show that blue underwear bitch how it's done.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Batman. Can you give the mic to Chris because you're kind of creeping us out?
Justice. My
Yes.
parents are dead.
Yeah, we know your backstory.
Oh.
Sorry, but it's been a while. Shouldn't you have gotten over it by now?
No.
Have you ever gone to counseling, Batman?
No.
You should. I think it would work well with you. I'm sure the Wayne Industries health plan, you probably have that under your health plan, right?
No.
No? Is it just
No.
what are you, a greedy bastard with like some bare bones HMO that you have your worker bees pay 90% of their of the cost to?
I keep them all right under full-time so I don't have to give them any benefits.
Oh, the secret comes out. The secret comes out. No one at Wayne Industries works more than 31 hours, right?
I have a friend who runs a pizza franchise. He told me about it.
Oh, ouch. Ouch.
While I was at his castle eating pizza.
Oh my God. So God, we're finding out everything now. So parents are dead, you like justice, you're looking for a detonator, and you subjugate your employees and treat them like crap. And you hang out with the pizza guy that lives in a castle. Wow, you are a comic book character.
And I voted for Romney.
Oh, wow.
Good for you. Let me guess, favorite book, Atlas Shrugged?
How'd you know?
You're living in it right now, aren't you?
Yeah.
All been foretold in that book. That and what is it? The Fountainhead. I think that's the other one they always talk about. Craziness. So okay, well, thanks, Batman. It was good to have you on. Can we speak to you when your movie comes out in maybe like a year or 5?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, thank you. Could you put Chris on there? He's probably the guy scared in his corner, going, "Where the hell did this guy in a Kevlar bat suit come from?" So,
Justice.
We agree, justice.
And he drops the mic.
That's some weird shit right there.
Rich, your house is like the nexus of craziness. It's always something.
It is.
You live on a fault line of crazy?
I live right on the Hellmouth. That's what it is.
There you go. Well, and this is episode 129 of Gundam. And in this episode, we're only going to be doing one topic, and that's going to be the long-awaited and recently completed Season 3 review of Transformers Prime. Yes, we're going back to the Transformers universe.
Oh, man.
Yeah, can't wait. Some kids and fetch quests and all that good stuff. Gotta love it. More kids. That's
No, Heart and Soul.
Heart and Soul, there you go.
This is only about selling toys. That's all they want to do is just sell toys. They don't want to give any good stories like they did with Transformers.
And now
G1.
open up your Transformers Bibles and please turn to page Magnus 18.12.
The Book of Optimus.
The Book of Optimus.
Chapter 3, verse 22.
Letters from Bumblebee.
Awesome.
The Gospel according to Ultra Magnus.
Letters from Ultra Magnus to the Dinobots.
Well, wouldn't the Dinobots be the equivalent of like the Genesis?
I think you're onto something.
I no clue. But yeah, we'll be going back to Cybertron, Sabertron, Earth, whatever you want to call it. There you go. So yeah, but before we get into our review, our first and only topic of this episode, we're going to be going to some news. But before I do the news, I have to do one more thing. I have to recognize somebody. I have to induct them. A longtime listener and poster on Mecha Talk. Somebody I think you've been on his show a couple of times. I believe Chris and Solbro have also. I have to now present a commission, an officer commission in the Human Freedom Army for when the robots rebel of the Foul Sorceress. Because he said he was going to do something, and he did it, and I'm very appreciative to it, and I'm going to reciprocate here shortly, so I haven't forgotten, and we had to wait about a week or so to record because of some other stuff, and so that's why I didn't say this sooner, but I remember quite a few episodes ago, they talked about commemorative stamps in Canada for a certain Canadian supergroup, i.e. Rush. Yeah, he got those for me, and I will be sending a pic shortly to Solbro to post up on the internet somewhere. And I'll do that. So I'd just like to say thank you. You're now commissioned a second lieutenant in the Human Freedom Army against the robots. Unfortunately, you'll probably be fighting against Chris and Solbro because they'll probably be robo collaborators. But
I'll be the first to betray humanity to our robot masters.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and Solbro, all they got to do is do a sexoroid that looks like Ryu or Chun-Li or something. He'd be like, "Oh, the humans are over there."
Figured me out.
Hey, you're easy.
Just make a Capcom bot and that's it.
But thank you, Mr. Foul Sorceress, and congratulations on your induction into the Human Freedom Army. And make sure you have your tomes, read up on them, and never trust the robots. So thank you. And now we will be doing some news. And coming to you from the Larry King Memorial Studios.
You are the king! You are the king!
This is some Neo's listener submitted news articles. And always, you can post those in the Neo's listener submitted news articles thread in the Gundam section of the Mecha Talk forum. We have a new thread with some updated rules, and they're pretty easy to understand. So there you go. And I just like to thank everybody for complying. So the first one here, this comes from Rodimus76. And this falls right in. Thank God we got the foul sorceress now. Robo-apocalypse news. Oh my God, DARPA. You know how evil DARPA is, Chris. And
Yes.
They now have a killer humanoid robot that they've created. And if you go to Mr. Rodimus's link here, you can see it and read up about it and clutch the tomes even more. So thank you, Mr. Rodimus76, for scaring the bejesus out of us. Next one here, it comes from Gundam Type 0. And he's got a link here, and I haven't checked to see if this is the case, but maybe Chris or Solbro has. But it sounds says here that Funimation, not Funimation, but Funimation is their recent releases on Netflix are going to support dual audio.
They do indeed. I have verified this myself. And perhaps recognizing what it is that those fans want. When you select an anime, it's already set by default to Japanese and English subtitles.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
For the titles that have it, which is a lot of them. There are some things that do not have it, some of the older ones, so maybe they'll be updated with
it's just
the new language.
It says notable omissions right now are Samurai 7, Speed Grapher, and Mushi. And which is a pretty good show. I've actually watched that. But yeah, so wow, that's pretty cool. So there you go. So Netflix and Funimation partnering together to make anime fans happy, but they'll probably complain about something in the future. So thank you, Mr. Gundam Type 0, for your submission. Oh, quick one here. It's about robots, and it's pretty cool. There's a new viral video. I've actually checked it out. That's Mr. Rodimus76 has got a link here to the Game Tyrant. I'm sure you've seen it on YouTube. The new viral video featuring the Sentinels from X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yes, indeed.
So yeah, check that out. That's some pretty cool stuff. I like the way that they kind of integrate stuff in there. So thank you, Mr. Rodimus76, for your submission. Oh, I'm sorry, Solbro. Did you have a comment?
I just wanted to add that if you want to see more of that stuff, you can head over to trask-industries.com, and it is a viral site that's built around Trask Industries, the company that makes the Sentinels. You can see all sorts of clips up there, even Peter Dinklage as Bolivar Trask. So Trask, I want to say trash every time I say that, but all that information is up there. It's a lot of neat information on how the Sentinels are built and what abilities they have, and the mutant was it inhibitor collar and all that other technology is up there. So check that out, and you can also see that viral video up there too.
Okay, all right. So thank you, Mr. Rodimus76, for that, and thank you, Mr. Solbro, for that additional information. Oh, the next one here is from EA Net Dude, and it looks like there was the first Wednesday that Pacific Rim, we've all heard of that movie. I guess it had a record-breaking opening of $9 million, which I would imagine is probably pretty good for them. And talking here that based on some of the international enthusiasm, could be hitting the worldwide amounts that it wants to hit. So I don't have anything further on this. I don't know if you guys have any updated information on that. Because right here it was talking about, this was the end of July the 31st, 84 million in America, 149 worldwide. So I don't know where it's at this point. So, but it seems like it's slowly getting up to where they want it to go. So we'll have to see about that. So thank you, Mr. EA Net Dude, for your submission. Ooh, Bloody Knight's got a site. He's got a link here. Gundam 00 Season 2, the greatest Season 2 ever now, is that's live in Gundam Info on YouTube. So nice. You want to check that out. Definitely, if you missed what all the excitement about of Season 2, then you can definitely check that out. So thank you, Mr. Bloody Knight, for your submission.
By the way, on that same subject, I don't think we mentioned this in the last episode, but Daisuke has since set up a YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
And they do have Double Zeta on there, and they also have Seed and Zeta. And the interesting thing is the way they're slowly releasing the episodes on the main website, but on YouTube, at least last time I checked, they actually had put up all of both series, and they were in Japanese with subtitles.
Okay.
What? So you're saying the whole entire series are up there on YouTube?
All of Seed and all of Zeta in Japanese. And since it's YouTube, of course, if you have a smartphone or a tablet, or you're watching it on, say, the PS3 or Wii or any other console, you can enjoy your Gundam through there now, right on your TV screen.
Wow, that's badass.
So another option for watching all of this legal Gundam streaming.
Yeah. Nice. But still complain.
And also, for the record, according to Box Office Mojo, Pacific Rim is at over $344 million worldwide.
Okay, cool.
Thank God.
So it's
still got a ways to go, box office wise, but it's slowly creeping there, man. I hope it it makes it there before it gets out of theaters.
The majority of that's 247 million being foreign.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's not including all of the grosses of Japan, since it just opened. So we don't know how long that will run in theaters and what the overall run will be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. All right. Next one here. Oh, the first from an even Australian, Vent Noir. And he's got a link here to Anime News Network. And there's some pictures showing a full-size Ingram for the live-action Pat Labor movie. So they show it on the back of like a flatbed truck. And so, yeah. Definitely check those out. Definitely some cell phone pics are taken like behind a closed area. Yeah, closed area and stuff. But yeah, definitely looks pretty cool. So check that out.
I'll be glad to have any new Pat Labor, if for nothing more than it'll make people stop bitching about the third movie.
Yeah. Well, wouldn't new Pat Labor make the third movie a classic? Isn't that how it works now? Kind of how it works, but we'll see. But and I won't let him go unnoticed here, but Bertman 4 is actually, he had to one-up Mr. Vent Noir and say, yeah, I know he's already posted this, but these shots appear to be of higher quality resolution. So so a war between Vent Noir and Bertman 4 has now begun. So thank you both for your submissions. Next one here is coming from that's the news music.
The news music of unpreparation.
No, the news music of waiting for stuff to load. Actually, next one here is from Yazi88, and he's got a link here on YouTube. And Guillermo del Toro, the director of Pacific Rim, it's documenting his visit to Japan with both the adult and child actresses of the film character Mako. And so, yeah, definitely check that out. And he also visits, it's showing him visit the Gundam Museum in Obadiah, and he actually admits that the Chirino Alpha was inspired by the Zaku 2. Looks exactly like it.
That's
there you go. Some inside info about Pacific Rim.
Good shit. Specific.
Very specific.
Specific about Pacific Rim. Specific Pacific Rim stuff. Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Yazi88, for your submission. Oh, the next one here is from Wielder. And man, this is some good stuff, because now, well, it looks like old Neo might be going and might be spending a little bit of cash here shortly. And I'm sure probably Soulbro and Chris will be in the same situation. But there's been some license rescues for Bandai Sunrise shows. And the first one, this is what Funimation is rescuing. Cowboy Bebop, Outlaw Star, Vision of Escaflowne. Escaflowne, the movie. They didn't have to rescue that, but I'm sure that was the package. Maihime, Mayatomi, oh, whatever.
Zero Cipher.
Mayatomi's Way, Tales of the Abyss, Witch Hunter Robin.
My favorite.
It was good up to that certain point. Code Geass, Solution of Revolution, R2 of Code Geass, Code Geass, Aikido the Exiled, Angel Links, Crest of the Stars, Banner of the Stars, Banner of the Stars 2, Passage of the Stars, Birth. So yeah, so some excitement there, especially if we can start getting stuff like Cowboy Bebop and that in Blu-ray, which would be great.
I imagine they had to take some junk in there with that package because
Angel Links and Escaflowne.
Oh God, Angel Links! Why would anyone want to rescue Angel? Oh, but
Stars is a nice grab though. I like that show a lot.
I held off on buying. I mean, I used to have the old Bebop DVDs, and I got rid of them. I held off on buying the remaster because I figured it's coming out on Blu-ray in Japan pretty soon. There's no way that anime companies are going to let a title that popular be unlicensed for long. And I had hoped that Funimation would rescue it and put it on Blu-ray, and lo, they have. So good choice there. And hopefully Outlaw Star will be on Blu-ray as well because I didn't pick that up DVD. Nice. If Escaflowne happens to be on Blu-ray, I'll pick that up even though I already have it on DVD. And one of the big ones that I'm kind of surprised was not mentioned was Gitsack.
Yeah.
But since that was sort of like a co-production thing between Bandai and Mangler, I don't know what the status is of that. So that still might be in Mangler's hands. I don't know the situation. But I would love to have some Gitsack on Blu-ray.
Well, do you want some more licensed rescue information? Because
sure.
That was just Funimation, not Funimation, but Funimation. The next one is Sentai Filmworks. And these are the following shows that they've released that they are going to be rescuing. Sacred 7, The Big O, The Big O 2, Argento Somo, Better Man, Sacride, Z-Mine, Zegapane, The Girl Who Leapt Through Space, Infinite Revias, Kokuryokama, the animation, Brain Powered, and Overman King Gainer.
Oh, powered.
Yeah.
Now, Big O was also released on Blu-ray in Japan, so here's hoping that gets released here. And King Gainer, I'm glad to hear is back. I scooped that up on DVD a long time ago, but if that's on Blu-ray too, which it is in Japan, I'd scoop that up on Bluray again.
It looks like Sentai got their hands on all the non-Gundam Tomino works that Bandai had under their belt. At least the one
I imagine they really didn't want brain powered though. At Sunrise, it's like you want
that was the King Gainer deal. It's like you want King Gainer, you're taking.
You want King Gainer and you want Big O, you better take brain powered.
Yeah,
I'm so glad they saw value in Argento Soma. That's such a good show, and Big O, I own that on DVD too, and Infinite Revice is another show I really enjoy, even though it's Harai face all over that show. But that was the first anime series I ever saw that was from Hisashi Harai. So if anything, it's a good show.
I'm looking at my shelf here, and aside from Gundam and Gitsack, between all of these rescues and the ones that already happened in the past, doesn't that pretty much cover Bandai's library?
No.
All the major titles?
Oh, major titles, yeah. I own some series from Bandai that they didn't mention.
I'm talking about the stuff people actually care about.
Oh, wow. So you're gonna shit on Kazuyo no Jimbo. Damn, that's a good ass show. Y'all just don't.
It is, but it's not. It's not a.
Now that I
it's
think
not
of
a
it, though,
anime
someone
show.
needs to swipe up Sword of the Stranger because that's a pretty damn good movie.
So you're about to shit all over the other titles. I didn't even remember.
I'd forgotten about that. I've only seen it once, and the Blu-ray's expensive as hell now.
Yeah, but what he means is
and The Girl Who Leapt Through Time.
These are things that are going to sell. So you might get those. You might get the. Well, I mean, some of those titles.
I understand. When all the Jenny on titles were up for grabs, or at least a lot of them were. No one picked up Master Keaton. I understand.
Yeah. Let's not kid ourselves. There's some stuff that never sold back then. Mm-hmm. It's never going to sell now, and it's never going to sell ever. So,
and it may be good, and it's just you may love it, but it's just not gonna. In the end, hate to break it to everybody.
Yeah, I know.
Anime industry, it's a business. Sorry to break that to everybody. But yeah, thank you, Mr. Wielder, for your submission. Next one here comes from Vent Noir again, and this is actually kind of a little funny. This is from IO9. It's just some of the more ridiculous ways that the world has ended in some different shows. Some including traffic construction, an air show makeup mishap, bomb-based religion, half-assed climate control, a handshake, 8 bullion. That's going to Dragon Ball. Single martial arts move, poor waste management, Wally, magic cell phone voodoo, and pouty teenage boy. Oh man, is that a lot of anime?
Pouty teenage boy. I wonder what that's from.
We won't even go there. But yeah, thank you, Mr. Vent Noir, for your submission. Oh, next one here from Destiny Gundam, and he's got a link here. There's going to, and this is kind of appropriate for what we're talking about since we're doing season 3 of Transformers Prime. There's already talk now because this is the last season of Transformers Prime. There's talk about the new Transformers animated series, and Roberto Orsi has said that it's not really a reboot, but it's going to be kind of a continuation of what Transformers Prime in a tonally different form. So I don't know what the hell that means, but I guess they're not going to reboot and everything. It'll probably look maybe have the same characters as Transformers Prime, but
we can speculate on that once we finish talking about season 3, because that'll be more appropriate before we get into stuff.
But just wanted to cover that and give some props to our good friend Destiny Gundam, evil bastard that he is. So thank you for your submission. And the last one here comes from Rodimus76, and he's just got a link here. Even though, it's more of a comic book thing, but because they have the Sentinels in there, there's now he has a link to the blueprints to the Sentinels that are going to be featured in X-Men Days of Future Past. So even though that movie's about a year out, it looks like we're going to start getting inundated with all these little Viro and extra things going on. So thank you.
I believe they just finished filming, so now is when we start the heavy promotion.
Yeah, but is that early next year, like early summer or like springtime, summer?
No, it's summer.
It's the middle of the summer.
Middle of summer.
Yeah,
so we're a little under a year away then. Yeah. So check that out. And thank you, Mr. Rodimus76, for your submission. And thank you, all posters. And if you have any news articles to post, always go to the Neo's listener submitted news articles thread in the Gundam section of the Mecha Talk forum. And before we go on to our first topic, I know that we have some hopers and dreamers with Solbro. So Solbro, take it away.
Must be.
Well, this segment's like a dream come true. Welcome to the Hopers and Dreamers Corner, gang. And many thanks to those who submitted hopes and dreams. You can submit yours to the Mecha Talk forum for Gundam. There's a thread in there for the Hopers and Dreamers Corner. Head on over there and submit your hopes and dreams and have them read on the show. And our first submitter is none other than Kei Katsuragi, and he writes, "Is it cool to have a perverted hope and dream post here?" He writes, he adds, "Nothing? Alrighty then. 'Tis my hope and dream that Japan drops their damn policy on censorship. You know who you are out there. Those who agree with me, don't be ashamed." Whatever could he be referring to? Whatever could he be referring to? I thought Japan was completely open, no censorship. Any thoughts, guys?
I'm going to completely agree with this one because mosaics are the devil.
Yeah, they are.
So, I will switch sides.
So you guys know, Chris takes a firm stance on mosaics.
Mosaics are the worst thing ever.
No mosaics. Don't put them in your media, whatever that media may be.
Exactly.
Keep it out. But thank you very much, Kay. And we'll move on to the next submitter, which is Silver_August, and he writes, "It ain't mecha, but I'm hoping for a new Digimon anime that doesn't suck or give up halfway." Is that how that series rolls? Damn.
I have no clue. So
I've never seen an episode of Digimon in my life, so.
If you're familiar with anime, a lot of them end up giving up halfway anyway. So
yeah, that's not always a problem with just Digimon. A lot of other animes that just give up or suck. So
here's hoping that your shows that you're watching and invest time in don't do that to you. But all I know is welcome to anime, man. It's a tough ride, no matter what the show.
Yeah, exactly.
And thank you for your submission. Xeon Silverstar writes the next submission here, and he submits, "All right, Kay, I'll co-sign on that. As for my own hopes and dreams, I'd like to see more of the Gundam novels translated into English. This particular hope came about after I finished reading the novelization of Mobile Suit Gundam." It'd be nice to see that, and I don't know if it's a far-fetched hope and dream. I know this much.
Oh no, it's absolutely far-fetched hope and dream. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'll say this for the 10 millionth time.
Oh, wow. Go ahead.
These things don't make any money. They don't make money.
Yeah.
Stop asking for things that don't make money. Oh my God, how many freaking times has Ed Chavez on the Vertical Twitter or Tumblr explained these things about novels? Japanese novels don't make much money in America, especially Gundam. I mean, look what we had. We had 2 tiny reprints of the Mobile Suit Gundam novels. We had the Seed novels that never even got beyond the 3rd one by Tokyo Pop.
Yeah.
Because they never even licensed the last 2. And what else? Is anything else ever released aside from those 2 things?
I can't think of much. I mean,
Well, I mean, the thing is yeah, I mean, a novel, that's a lot of work. Like, you know, all the work that probably goes into a manga book there's a lot. But let's say
It's a lot more dialogue.
Yeah, let's say a manga book is 1,000 hours. Well, a novel similar size might be 5,000 hours.
1,000 hours.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, I mean, be realistic.
No, I mean, there's a lot of
1,000 hours.
It's
Yeah,
like translating an RPG. There's a lot of dialogue in that too, but I mean, there's more of a chance it's going to make money as opposed to a novel.
Yeah.
right.
And you know, it's real
Oh,
slim.
God.
It's real slim that would happen to bring those books here. But I mean, the books that do come out here support them.
Slim as in absolutely never.
I mean, for God's sakes, when they do the reprint of the Gundam, of the Mobile Suit Gundam novels, they have to discount it on Amazon to get rid of them anyway. So I mean, it's just, I mean, let's
be real, people. If you want to read Gundam novels, you have 2 choices. Learn Japanese or rely on people who do fan translations and release them through methods. That's all you're getting.
And
you're
hope to God,
ain't never going to see a Gundam novel released in America again.
You're not going to get what Simon and Schuster releasing these things. You know,
the other option is hope they adapt them like Unicorn. But right now, Unicorn stands as the example of a Gundam novel being adapted, and who knows if we're going to see that again in a short period of time. So it's a nice hope, though. And
Yes.
if anything, keep.
I'll just throw this out as a blanket response to every hope and dream. Stop asking for things that don't make money.
There you go. that flat disclaimer right there.
Yes. I'm just gonna. That's like a presumed starting point.
Yeah.
Like in a lawsuit, just reincorporate that allegation in every single part of the argument.
Hashtag boilerplate.
Yes. Stop asking for things that don't make money.
Nice. I guess this will just add on to the last submission, and this will close this out. Kei Katsuragi, he went ahead and added that he salutes Xeon Silver Star for the submission, and he says, "I'll return the favor. I want to read Sentinel so I can tell all those people who want it animated that it is overrated." Ouch.
Well, you know, speaking of Sentinel, that one is precisely available through methods.
Oh.
I haven't read it. I can't speak to its accuracy of translation, but I know that it is out there through methods.
Well,
so
nice.
there you go.
there you go.
That's right. You just threw that into the ether. People now know, and go ahead and hunt that down if you guys are interested.
They can go pre-order it.
Nice.
Yeah,
Like
thank you.
Sobro does.
Yeah.
Well, thank all of you for your submissions to the Hopers and Dreamers Corner. That's it for today, and I turn the mic back over to Neo.
All right. Well, before we even go into the first and only topic of this one, I do feel that things are getting a little old. I feel like I'm drinking a highball now. It's back when women couldn't vote and men were men and women were women as long as they were in the kitchen. And I think it's time for some old-timey news reading with Old-timey Chris. Chris, take it away.
We do have a couple of submissions, although I did
couple.
fail to make a thread, so there will be a thread up by the time this episode comes out. And the first one comes from Arbiter Gundam. So let's get old-timey. Danger, excitement, mustaches. It's time for another new installment of Vault Hunter Adventures featuring Sir Hammerlock. In this week's tale, our hard-boiled heroes travel to the savage continent of Agris. Their goal? To uncover the most savage and exotic creatures Pandora has to offer and give them the old 1-2. But danger looms on this horizon for our swell swashbucklers. Though Handsome Jack may be gone, his legacy lives on. Sir Hammerlock's big game hunt.
Well read. Well read.
Thank you, Arbiter
All right.
Gundam.
And the next one here comes from Yokozuna Bulldozer. Looking for hard-boiled police action with super robot officers? Well, want to know more, dear listener? You are now enlisted as a proud member of the Brave Police, where the boys in metal wear badges brighter than searchlights and carry big guns. Join Boy Captain Yuta Tomonaga and the crew, Deckard, McCrane, Power Joe, Dumpson, Drillboy, Shadow Maru, Gunmax, and Duke as they take down the most lethal high-tech outlaws of tomorrow. From morning patrols around the neighborhood to taking down the most diabolical madmen on the loose, these finely engineered law enforcers get the job done like clockwork. So tune in for all the drama, all the science, and all the rock'em-suck'em action in a breathtaking episode of Brave Police J. Decker.
I challenge anybody out there to take that audio and put it to the video from clips of Brave Police J. Decker and make a little nice commercial for that. Let's combine the two. I throw that challenge out there.
I would like to see that.
I would love to see that. That's awesome.
Well, is that it, Chris, or any
That's
more?
it. No, that's it.
Thank you for having us go to the Sorkin verse.
It's Sorkin!
Yeah, I mean, everything
It's
was
the
better
Sorkin
before,
verse,
right?
yeah.
Snappy dialogue is every second.
Yes, exactly. And well, Chris will have that thread up. He said by the time this episode's released, so I'm sure he'll have it up there. So thank you, Chris, and thank you, Soulbro, and thank you everyone for your submissions. And we will be going to our first and only topic of this episode, our review and thoughts of Season 3 of Transformers Prime. You're listening to Gundam at MAHQ.
Jules, you give that fucking Nimrod $1,500 and I'll shoot him on general principle.
No, Yolanda, he ain't gonna do a goddamn motherfucker. Hey, Vince, shut the up!
What do the Anime Addicts Anonymous hosts think of My Little Pony?
If you're a dude older than 12, you really should not be watching My Little Pony. And if you are, go eat some chicken wings.
Anime.
I'd rather watch the Smurfs. Smurfette was hot.
Addicts.
I'm pretty sure I set a few My Little Ponies on fire when I was a child.
Anonymous.
No, that's cool. I'm just saying that, like, My Little Ponies burn real nice because they're made of plastic.
Podcast. Visit us at AAApodcast.com, iTunes, Facebook, and live from Japan on Ustream.tv.
Greetings, I am Andrew Cook, the host of Pretentious Internet Theater. Each month, I bring you the finest in literature that internet fan fiction has to offer. Join us, won't you, at tinyurl.com/pitpodcast. Remember, there is much drama on the internet, but only the best makes Pretentious Internet Theater.
Open. God damn it, open! Prime, you said the Matrix would light our darkest hour. Magnus! I want the Matrix! Never!
Welcome back to Gundam at MAHQ. We're going to get into our main topic now, which is a review of Transformers Prime Season 3, which has just concluded its broadcast in the US. So, going back to where we had left off, we had a cliffhanger at the end of Season 2 where Megatron's ship comes down and blows up the Autobot base. The Autobots all spread out and go their various ways along with the little Chillins, and Optimus stays behind, and as a result, meets a bad fate because we see a severed arm lost among the rubble. So that was quite the cliffhanger. So we pick up pretty much from there, and as a result of all of that, the Autobots have been scattered around the world. They don't have any contact with each other. They don't know what happened to Optimus, and Megatron has basically taken over the area, started building an evil fortress, and calling the area now Darkmount. So basically, the Autobots are in the worst possible situation they've ever been in. So the opening arc here, you have everyone sort of trying to struggle to survive on their own and get in touch with other people. We find out that Optimus indeed did survive, but has been heavily damaged and basically is at the end of his life. But Smokescreen decided to come back for him and has found him, and he's basically doing the whole Rodimus spiel on him about taking the Matrix. And you think for a while that maybe we're going to be getting Smokescreen Prime, but no, it does not turn out that way, because Smokescreen ends up swiping the Forge of Solus Prime from Megatron, and all the Autobots come back together, and he uses the last remaining power of the Forge of Solus Prime to totally rehab and upgrade Optimus, giving him new vehicle form, giant Gatling gun, a flight pack, pretty much all of the goodies you could want in a toy. So you have this very quick reversal where the Decepticons are suddenly on top, and now the Autobots strike back. They come back together, get a new base with Fowler's help. You've got the Decepticons moving forward with their plans, which involve Shockwave collecting DNA samples and relics, or rather our robot DNA samples, to try to clone a living Predacon, which has been extinct on Cybertron for like a gazillion years. And he succeeds by creating a very crazy, savage, dragon-looking thing that later takes on the name Predaking. So we've got that thread running throughout the season. Eventually, that develops into the surprise revelation that Predaking is actually sentient and can transform into a humanoid mode, which is revealed surprisingly while Starscream is trying to beat him into submission like someone trying to very poorly handle a dog that's misbehaving. So as the storyline develops throughout the season, a very old element from way earlier in the season comes back to the forefront, and that is Ratchet's formula for synthetic energon, or rather robot steroids.
Yeah.
That, yes, as it turns out, can help create cybermatter, which Megatron wants to use to rebuild the Omega Lock and restore Cybertron, basically renewing that conflict from the end of Season 2. And Ratchet appears to go along with it, but doesn't really, because he's trying to sabotage Megatron. But by the end, when we have this showdown in space on the Decepticon warship with the completed Omega Lock, the Decepticons get their asses kicked. Bumblebee runs Megatron right through with a frickin' sword, and the Autobots take control of the ship and use the Omega Lock to restore Cybertron, or rather at least kickstart the restoration of Cybertron and make that thou their new project. So, Solbro, why don't you give us some general thoughts on Season 3, the new characters, any particular episodes that stand out, and the season overall?
Wow, it was a very, very fast-paced season. I was sad to hear going into this that the season was only going to be 13 episodes, but they don't waste a second, at least for the most of it, when you're sitting there watching the run of the episodes. And unlike Season 2, I actually watched Season 3 in its entirety in the course of 2 days. Season 2, I actually watched that as it was airing, but my DVR had issues because I didn't realize that the show's name was changed
to Beast Hunters.
Beast Hunters. So I would have watched it week after week if it wasn't for that issue. So I just ended up just...
I narrowly avoided that issue myself by physically checking it, because I know how stupid my DVR can be.
I feel bad for anybody who also fell into that vortex, but if anything, it was nice to finally watch the show straight on. And watching the episodes, it was really cool. One of the episodes, called Plus One, was actually written by Greg Wiseman, a favorite writer of ours that's run shows like Gargoyles and
Spectacular Spider-Man,
and
Young Justice,
and the upcoming Star Wars cartoon, whatever that may be.
Rebels.
Rebels. That's it. He's gonna be. He wrote an episode of this season of Transformers Prime, and it was the episode where RC and Wheeljack teamed up to get the Predacon bone, and basically everybody was teaming up to go on different missions to get the bones.
And also Fowler's trying to put the moves on Jack's mom.
Trying to mac on June.
Hey, man. He sees a MILF, he's going to go after her.
Hey, man, that's Marky Post, son. Of course. But yeah, it was made for a great episode.
He wants to enter some night court with her.
There you go.
I just freaking dated myself so bad there, but whatever.
I'm just as dusty, but... But yeah, that was a very fun episode. That's one of my favorites this season. Another one was Thirst, which followed right afterwards, and I'm pretty sure it's a favorite for a lot of people because of the vampire element. But I think what I really enjoyed about it is there were callbacks, as Chris mentioned, to the synthetic energon from season 1 that Ratchet worked on, and dark energon too from season 1 that played a huge role then. And to combine the two makes for a really unholy mix, making vampiric Transformers, or Terracons as they called them. It made for a fun yet disturbing episode, especially how that episode ends. And also we got back Arachnid. She was finally reawakened after all this time. She, as you remember in season 2.
Aren't you forgetting the main thing of the Dark Energon and the synthetic, the return of Silas?
Return to Silas, thank you. I skipped that. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
It was. We thought that Silas.
The creepy return of Silas.
Yeah, real disturbing return.
We thought that Silas was dead the entire time, or he might have been. Eventually his fate was to be killed off by. I forget that Transformer's name, the Decepticon's name, the Doctor on board.
Knockout.
Thank you. But instead, he's just been kept alive as an experiment.
Which is not at all surprising, given the kind of jerk that Knockout is.
Knockout's such a scumbag.
No, he's the best character. The dude's awesome. He's so awesome in season 3.
He's wonderfully depicted, though. I think Darren Norris does his voice, and he kills it every time Knockout's on the screen, especially the last scene in the series with him.
Yep.
It was really well done. But yeah, that episode stands out to me as probably one of my favorites, especially how it ends and how it plays out. And it kind of leaves a thread hanging that they could go into, hopefully, a movie or maybe the whatever follow-up is coming up after this.
Well, don't talk about it like you don't know that the follow-up doesn't exist, because you do.
Oh yeah, there's a movie coming up in October, and I'm sure Chris will go into detail about that as we get later on into the discussion. But maybe that'll play a role in that movie that's coming up. I'll just point out a few random things that I really dug about this season. When finally Predaking was introduced as a transformable Decepticon or Predacon, when he revealed himself, he was voiced by Peter Mensah, who I'm a big fan of. For those who watch Spartacus, the actor that played him was Doctore in Spartacus, or Onomaeus, and that actor has really been stealing scenes in a lot of shows that I've seen recently, and he killed it as Predaking. Michael Ironside is Ultra Magnus. Holy shit. Outside of Robert Stack, who originally voiced him in the original Generation 1, they couldn't have picked a better actor to pick that character. And to have Michael Ironside come in and play Ultra Magnus just really embodied that character. I think it was a great casting choice. And then towards the end, Will Friedle coming in to play the voice of Bumblebee, where when Bumblebee finally gets his body restored because of the Omega Lock, he can finally speak again, and it's none other than the voice of Batman Beyond, Will Friedle. So that was a nice touch towards the end of the episode, and to close the season with that, I thought that was a really awesome choice to pick. Other than that, this series was just so fast paced. When they tried to mislead you about them killing off Prime and giving the Matrix to Smokescreen, I was starting to get worried there that they were going to pull a Transformers the movie for a second, but then we got denied Smoke'em Prime when they regenerated his body with the Forge.
I'm so glad they avoided that freaking cliche. I'm so glad that for once we got one damn Transformers series where Optimus does not die.
No, they transformed him into Gundam Prime with the Strike L pack, man. It was great.
And a heavy arms Gatling.
Oh, hell yes, man. Prime never looked better, man. And he took his place as the leader of the team. But I love the touch that he didn't kill Megatron. That it was actually Bumblebee at the end that did it.
You loved the touch?
No pun intended. But yeah, that was a nice touch that Bumblebee was the one that ended up getting his payback against Megatron at the end. Because Megatron had that shit coming. He certainly did. But I've talked enough. I'll pass the mic back to you, Chris.
All right, Neo, your thoughts on season 3?
Well, yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is Prime didn't die for once, because they mess with you. You're thinking in this episode, oh God, he's sitting there. Prime wants to die. He wants to give up the maker.
He wants.
I
he
must
wants
sacrifice for the
He
greater.
wants to give in to that cliche so hard.
Oh, he is like, there has been so many shows before me that have done this, so I must do this. What has happened before will happen again. It felt like it was in, Battlestar Galactica for a second. I was like, no, we can break this chain. We can break this. Thank God they did that. And like Solbro stated too, I'm glad that for once Prime, somebody else got Megatron. And it was nice. I mean, it jumbled it up enough where, okay, yeah, it's still Transformers, but yeah, it's just a little different. They broke the cliches. What was kind of nice, yes, it was a fast pace because it's only 13 episodes, but we were only limited to one fetch quest, which wasn't bad. Yeah, I'd have to say the standout of all my characters in this one was, I always liked Knockout when he was introduced, but he's just so over the top in this one. Like the one where, what is it? He gets the Predacon thing. He gets the Predacon part. He kidnaps Fowler and Jack's mom, and he starts being like such a douchebag. Hey, Big M, it's Knockout here. Come pick me up. And it's like, thank God the transmissions were
and also throwing out blatant sexual innuendo.
Yeah.
In a kid's cartoon, he's like, "Oh, you filthy humans interface with each other. It's disgusting."
It's just like, the way you guys interface is just awful.
It's like, I know that no 5 or 6 year olds are gonna get that, but that hit me. I was like, wow.
Dad did.
Yep.
I mean, he's just great. And like Solberg stated, even though it was kind of a separate episode, the zombie/vampire episode where it's just, oops, hey, Starscream comes in, hey, Knockout, what are you doing? Is that Silas? I didn't know he was still around. Yeah, well, I'm just kind of tinkering with some, synthetic energon, some dark energon. Oh, oops. Now he's going around and sucking all the life force out of all the other Decepticons and all the cannon fodder. And you got them trying to make sure that he doesn't get in, Megatron doesn't find out what's going on. So you got that whole thing with these two guys just in every sniveling, weaselly way, trying to just protect their asses.
Wow.
And what's nice is you get kind of closure with Arachnid because, okay, so we knew she was in stasis from season 2. Oh, wow. Okay. She gets out of stasis. And then at the end, she gets, is it Cybertron or one of the moons of Cybertron? I think it's one of the moons where it basically, she gets released. She gets with all the Decepticons again. They trick her into a ground bridge to one of the moons. And then, she got bit by, Silas. So, so it was kind of an easy way of like getting her out of the way, getting rid of the Insecticons. It's like, okay, now we have Predaking, Predacon. We don't really need the Insecticons anymore. So just get them out of the way. That was a really, really nice touch.
How about that romantic moment between Knockout and Starscream in that episode?
There was a ton of them. Which one? I mean, there was just a ton of them because
the one where they were admiring each other right before right before the end was coming, or what they thought was the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because you have two of the most backstabbing Weasley, and there's. I mean, and the thing is when it comes to the kind of the continuity of the overall story, it's not really, it's a separate story in essence. I mean, it's got a little bit in there, but it's kind of a separate story. So just a great thing. The episode where, as much as everybody hated Miko, she steps it up in season 3 because she gets, I forget what that armor's called.
I think it's the Apex.
The Apex armor. She finally, and that's that armor that Starscream was going around in season 2. And it's basically just a big Iron Man suit. And
basically a Hulkbuster suit.
Yeah, Hulkbuster
for Transformers.
And she gets some in this, beats the crap out of Starscream and stuff. So, that was, and it actually ends up becoming part of the like an official part of the Wreckers. We get some other cool things. We find out that Ultra Magnus was the last leader of the Wreckers, and that Wheeljack hates him because Ultra Magnus is, And they do it so well because he's just the by the book, like everything's got to be done the way it's in the book, you know, even though they're at a point in this war where the book doesn't count anymore. But this guy's still wanting to do it. That was cool. And then towards the end, we see that he finally gets the big picture, and he's like, what I was doing is not really working. You know, we get Wheeljack pretty much integrated into the team at that point. He's not as much of a lone wolf anymore. And I mean, the thing with Predaking was pretty interesting, especially how we get the fact that this guy's pretty much indestructible, and even he's given Megatron some worry. I mean, Megatron, who's not really worried of anything, he's like, well, you know, let's kind of set it up because they go around, they get more of this the CNA, which is the cyber nucleic acid, which I thought was funny, and instead of DNA, and you know, they're wanting to do an army of Predacons, and then they're finding out, oh, this thing became sentient, and you know, Megatron's like, well, let's just kind of, you know, and of course it's put in his, in his thing, well, maybe we should try to get rid of them, and they set it up where it looks like the Autobots killed them, and so that's pretty cool, and I can't believe that Solbro missed this. We finally, in this whole series, he hasn't spoken the whole entire time, but we finally get Soundwave because he gets captured.
Yes.
And he finally speaks, and he speaks pretty much, I'm sure, what is it?
Soundwave Superior, Autobots, what's that?
Inferior.
No, you're completely killing what I was about to say, but that's fine. That's what you do. No, I'm sure it had Mr. Heart and Soul all crazy because he does that iconic line from Transformers the movie. Solbro, go ahead. I know you want to say it.
Well, it's a variation, but he
just go ahead, say it. I know what you
says. Soundwave Superior, Autobots Inferior, and he was voiced by Frank Welker, which is the best part about all of that.
In that synthesized voice modulation thing that they had.
Remember
this one, yeah.
All we were missing is him turning into a tape deck. That's all.
Yeah, but this is 2013, not 1983. So yeah, but yeah, that was cool. Overall, originally when I got done with the show, I was like, I wish there could have been more. Yeah. But I'll be honest with you, looking back now, I'm kind of glad that they did it this way because I think this is one of these situations where it was a good story and enough got kind of closed off, and we have some dangling stuff for, you know, the future movie that's going to be coming out shortly. But I think if we had more episodes, we might have been in the same issue that we had with season 2 with the fetch quest that we had there, the series of fetch quests. So in the end, I'm kind of glad that it stopped at this point for this particular story arc. Would I like to see them go to a season 4 and do another story arc? That's a different situation. But for this one, looking back now, I think it's good. I think I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty satisfied with all of the final things that came about. I don't need a super explanation on everything. So, and I don't think we really need it because it just ended up being good. And thank God it busted all those Transformer cliches because for once.
It did what a good series would do, and it leaves us wanting more, which is the best way to leave us, honestly. And I got to agree with you, even though there's plenty of material to farm for like another season, or if they wanted to time jump, which I think they laid enough groundwork if they wanted to do another season and they time jumped it to where the kids are adults. I think that I could roll with that, especially when Agent Fowler has a line about the Apex armor, about the fact that they want to use that technology to kind of create a defense for mankind against, you know, any kind of Decepticon threat for the future. I thought it was a nice foreshadowing of things that could possibly come. You never know what I guess the future might hold.
Well, the future won't hold any more Transformers Prime. So back to you, Chris.
All right. Well, a couple of send-outs for me. Definitely having Miko use the Apex armor and beat the crap out of Starscream was wonderful. And then her using it again in the finale. And Starscream, man, the comedic relief with him has just been perfect this season because he is just such trash this season. He's completely overshadowed by Shockwave, who's Mr. Genius, evil scientist guy. He's completely incompetent at everything he does. He can't even control freaking Predaking when he's just a crazy robot dragon. I mean, even Caesar Milan would be like, "Yo, you're not the pack leader here. Let me show you how it's done."
Did you like his development though? Like he's kind of different now. Because at the scene where Megatron gets killed, he's actually impassioned about the death of his leader. He actually he's come a long way from wanting to stab Megatron in the back to being outraged that he's found.
I think this incarnation of Starscream for once has realized he's just not cut out for being a leader.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
he's better being a sniveling underling. That's his best place.
He found out that he can't hack it as a leader, and nobody's going to follow him or take him seriously.
Nobody respects him. Even the Vehicons treat him like shit. It's like, you guys are cannon fodder. You don't even get names, and you all look the same.
Yeah, and they're giving crap to Starscream. It's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, even this stupid robot dragon won't listen to me. It's like, I think he finally got the hint that he just ain't cut out to be the Emperor of Destruction.
He's comfortable with being number 2.
Yeah. But even at that, he's no good.
Nope. He's more like number 3.
So I loved him and Knockout stumbling into an episode of The Walking Dead.
I was waiting for the Rictatorship to show up.
Rictatorship.
Which is possibly just one of the funniest episodes of the series.
Oh, it really is.
Definitely having Michael Ironside as Ultra Magnus was a highlight because his voice just has that presence and that command of authority that, he just totally embodies, that harsh, strict military discipline with every single word that he speaks.
Every single one.
So that was perfect. The finale was great. I really enjoyed Bumblebee getting his voice back and being the one to do in Megatron because that was some just desserts. Yeah. Although, what the hell, Hub? Why? Possibly the biggest surprise in the series. Would you directly spoil it at the very beginning of the preview for this episode?
Oh no!
Yeah, it's awful.
Yes, it's awful. Instantly, as soon as the preview for that last episode started, you see Bumblebee speaking. It's like, why would you ruin this? Why? People are going to watch it anyway. It's the last episode. You don't need to spoil the biggest surprise.
Yeah.
That's pretty terrible.
Yeah. And the thing is, because it spoiled that, once this scene is set up, when you see Bumblebee get blown away by Megatron, it's like, oh, I see what's going to happen. He's going to fall into the juice here with the cyber matter and get redone and get his voice back. And then, boom, that's exactly what happens. At which I'm thinking to myself, man, Ultra Magnus probably wishes he could have stuck his claw hand into that magic water get his real hand back.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, but by Predaking.
But as long as they screwed that up, at least we had that funny thing with Knockout. Hey, I just want to be on the winning team. At the end, when Megatron gets killed, he's trying to just sit there and be like with the Autobots. Oh, well, he got defeated. Good.
Hey guys, I never really hated you guys.
Yeah, I was just part of a bad crowd.
I'm a car too. We're cool, right? I'm practically one of you.
He is just so awesome in this season. Like, he was such an asshole. It just you always knew his allegiance was just a sliver away from going to the other side. But in this one, it's just like he's just because when because he was Mr. Evil Scientist up until Shockwave shows up, and it's like that's why him and
suddenly you're like the low rent evil scientist compared to Shockwave.
Oh my gosh, that was
that was good stuff. Definitely having Soundwave speak that iconic line was great. The second that happened, I was not a fan that we had to go for the third time into yet another fetch quest, but thankfully it was only 2 episodes.
Yeah, it's very short lived.
I am glad that they also finally resolved Wheeljack's whole thing about being a lone wolf because it's getting kind of annoying. Him just being a jerk all the time, and finally resolving his beef with Ultra Magnus, and Ultra Magnus just sort of chilling out and accepting that his strict military ways don't work anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that the main action of the story ended early enough in the last episode to give us time to set up an epilogue, so that even though there are some things left unaccounted for, the series ending works pretty much perfectly, I think.
Yeah.
Like, if there was nothing more after this, it's a good ending, especially compared to animated when they had no notice at all that they were being canceled, and they had that 20-second epilogue of like, yay, we beat Megatron. Autobots rule, the end. So it's good that the creators knew that this third season would be their last and that they were able to wrap things up. And if you look at this season, I think that they set out to do... They did everything that they set out to throughout these 65 episodes, which, let's face it, that's a lot for a cartoon run these days.
And just enough for syndication.
So I'm perfectly satisfied with this ending as is if there was nothing more. But, now we know that there will be more because on October 1st in the US, we have the Blu-ray release of Predacons Rising. So we have picking up at some point after the end of Season 3, we have Predaking who was blasted out of the ship. He apparently makes a couple of new Predacons and wants to get his revenge on everyone. And we have Unicron coming back to starting up shit by taking over Megatron's body.
Oh, yeah. And have you seen the trailer?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it too. It's freaking amazing.
Yes. So we have Unicron starting shit, which will cause everyone to join forces to take him down because, of course, he is always bad news.
There's a couple shades of Transformers the movie because when you see Megatron, he looks like Galvatron. Like his Galvatron rendition, the few shots you see of him, he looks like Galvatron, and he's working, I guess, in the proxy of, as you mentioned, the proxy of Unicron, under his control and pretty much being possessed by him. So it kind of is fulfilling the role that Galvatron did in Transformers the movie.
Not quite, because, Galvatron was still Megatron, but remodeled. In this case, Megatron's completely dead, and he's just a dead body being possessed by some other dude.
Yeah, it's more zombie robots because that's been the big. That's been the big thing. Yeah, it's been the big thing in this show. This zombie Transformers. Well, I mean, but that's been the thing. I mean, especially when they talked about the Dark Energon and all this other stuff. I mean, look at Cliff Jumper and
Megatron
Silas
himself,
Megatron himself. Yeah, I mean that's and what was it? The jet,
the Skyquake,
Yeah. So it's like. That's been the big thing in this, so it does kind of make sense that Unicron would, because you never got any definitive of what happened to Unicron in season 2 or at the end of season 1. It's just kind of like, well, he got defeated, but you don't know if he's destroyed or what he is. So
wrapping up, why don't we give some ratings for season 3, Neo?
Oh, I'm gonna give it 4.5. 4.5 Silas walking robots out of 5.
Okay, Solbro.
I gotta give it. I would give it. You know what? I was really satisfied by the end of the show. I would definitely give it 5. Miko inside of the Apex armor kicking ass out of 5, and I have to add that her character I couldn't stand in season 1, but as the series progressed from series 2 to series 3, she ended up being my favorite human out of all of them. So. I commend the show's writers for actually making her character a whole lot more likable than when. Yeah,
because they basically made Jack and Raphael like kind of visible, not existent in this.
And Miko was the scene stealer. All towards the end of the show, I was hanging off of her every word, and I was glad to see that they really re-energized her character. Shout outs to them for doing that.
Well, there you have it, and I will give it 4.5 out of 5 humans interfacing.
Well said.
It's funny that you say that because everybody, even the Transformers, robots, lifeless, deadless, dead things, soulless entities, sitting there, noticed that Agent Fowler wanted to get on Jack's mom. Except them.
Even Raph, man. Raph kept bringing it up. It was like...
Well, Knockout's like, you sound like an old like human couple.
So anyway, that will wrap up this segment. So of course, come October, we will be discussing Predacons Rising to close the book on Transformers Prime. And I don't know if the Hub is going to air it. So if not, of course, we will all be picking up that Blu-ray because we want to see the conclusion. So check back in October for a discussion of Predacons Rising. But for now, that's it for this. And you're listening to Gundam at MAHQ.
You got the power! Yeah! You got the touch! You got the
have a problem. We need to set up a perimeter.
Who is this?
Isn't this the coach of the baseball team?
No, you have the wrong number. This is Shirley Douglas's residence.
Really?
Yes, I should know. She's my mother.
Your mother? You still live with your mother? How old are you?
I'm hanging up now.
Kiefer, who was that?
Damn it, Mom! I told you to knock before you come in!
I can't believe Game & More forgave Gears of War 3 a 9.4. Ugh, those guys have rocks in their head. It clearly deserves at least a 9.6. Bro, why do you even care? Modern Warfare 3 is a far superior game in every way.
You guys are still playing with your consoles? You need to fully immerse yourself in true PC gaming.
Are you sick of nerd ragers making you feel like your games don't matter? Or do you feel like professional game magazines have sold out and only cover major releases? Sure you are, so join us here at SecondOpinionGames.com and let us make your video game conversations fun again. Our main podcast focuses on all gaming news, big and small. And don't forget our other podcasts where we talk about video game collecting, fighting games, the best games you never played, and other just mindless and mindful ramblings that entail what our main focus is. Let us be your first stop in Second Opinion. So stop by SecondOpinionGames.com. You can also find us on iTunes and Stitcher Radio.
In a world where vivid flashbacks can strike without warning. In a world where a submissive adolescent must pilot a giant humanoid robot to save humanity. In the same world where a two-legged quadruped can run leisurely at the speed of sound with the aid of jewelry. Only one podcast can discuss this with their sanity intact. And this is Not That Podcast. www.SSAApodcast.com. The Ass Backwards Anime Podcast. Oh wait, I was supposed to use that voice in the beginning. Let's go again.
Let's be clear, Detective Freeman. When I f*** you over, you'll know it. You'll be so Gundam certain you won't need to ask the question.
Everybody, welcome back to Gundam at MAHQ. You're listening to episode 129, and in this episode, we just had one extended segment where we actually wrapped up Transformers Prime with our discussion of Season 3 of Transformers Prime. It was a great season, and we encourage you guys to check that out, either on the Hub or whenever it becomes available on Netflix or whatever legal streaming site. Check that show out. It's great. You can see the previous seasons on Netflix right now. And before we close this episode out, you know what we got to do. We got to open up that mailbag, and I'll pass the mic over to our Postmaster Chris to do the honors.
All right. Well, we take your mailbag questions at the mailbag thread on mechatalk.net. We also take your voicemails at 305-792-8324, which we have none this episode, so please be sure to send those in. And our first question tonight comes from Yokozuna Bulldozer, who says, hello. Number one, name one mecha pilot that gets his/her job done like a boss. Well, I think without question, the first answer that comes to mind is Chiriko Kyuubi, because if somebody needs killing, he's going to get them killed.
That is true.
He is the man to do it.
But to be contrarian,
killing's his business, and business is good.
Business is always good. He's slaying gods over here.
He's kind of like Mecha Wolverine. He's the best at what he does, and what he does isn't exactly the nicest thing. So
yes,
but to be contrarian, I'm going to say
put Wolverine to shame.
Yeah, I'm going to say Mashima. Wow. Yeah, he got it done, man, like a boss.
He did.
He did nothing.
He
but
blew himself up and killed nobody. Yeah. But he looked cool as hell doing it.
He looked cool as shit doing it, yeah. He said, got his job done, right? That's what he said? Like a boss. Got nothing done like a boss. There you go. Off to you, Soul Bro.
My vote goes for Simone from Gurren Lagann. Easily, man. That was one of the...
That show ended when freaking Kamina died. I didn't watch after episode 9.
You cad.
Best 9 episode ever. show ever. Can't do it.
Simo handled himself, man. He had some issues, but towards the end, when all the chips are on the table, man, he bet big and he threw down with the universe, man. It was great. And I got to say, he got his job done and then some.
Awesome.
All right, question number 2. I recently watched a few tidbits of Tetsujin 28 FX, a spin-off/sequel title of Tetsujin 28 in the vein of Kotetsu Shinjig, Dan Cougar Nova, and though not a mecha title, Saint Seiya Omega. My question for you guys is this: which non-canon sequels do you guys think is good enough that you wished it was canon, and which canon sequels do you guys prefer to consider non-canon? A little trivia regarding Tetsujin 28 FX was that it was not as popular within its own show ever since the redesigned Black Ox stole the spotlight with its jet fighter transformation and mega particle cannon-like weapons mounted on both sides of its back. All Tetsujin ever got was a bland-looking robotic phoenix clamped to its back if needed. Insert Captain Picard facepalm.
Well, I can't really think of too much that was non-canon because I'm pretty good with like dividing stuff up. I kind of like it when you have. I'm a big fan of alternate universes and stuff like that. I kind of like that, but there's something that I wish that is canon that should not be considered canon, and I probably think that Solbro and Chris may agree with me on this. Stardust Memories.
Oh,
especially the Koaraki arc.
Yeah.
Of that, not the backstory of like some of the stuff that happened with the Federation and all that, but anything dealing with Koaraki piloting a Gundam, Chris's favorite girl Nina Purpleton,
nice
porn star Monsha, and
mustache Monsha. Yes.
Yes,
indeed.
and in a way, it was kind of all, we find out at the end, it was really not canon because even the Earth Federation said, no, we can't have this. We went from Armoro to this guy? No.
The entire series is off the books.
Insert delete. Reformat the hard drives.
Not good enough for history.
No. We'll even put Christine over him, even though she went against the broken ass Zaku and a guy that became Hamburger.
Hey, she wrecked the Gundam. That's all.
Yeah. Hey, she had a cool ass suit. So there you go.
What canon sequels do you prefer to consider non-canon? Well, I think it's actually been done, but at one time I know that G-Savior was considered canon, but it's not considered canon anymore, is it?
Here's the thing. It's not that it's not considered canon. It's just that Sunrise ignores its existence completely. Which is a fine line, but it is a line, so.
But wasn't it so far in the future anyways that
it's a good 70 years after V Gundam, and I doubt we're ever going to explore that area. So in effect, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
As for a series that I think was good enough that I wish it was canon, it's not animated, but a manga that I really enjoy, that I read the first few chapters of that I wish was canon was Char's Deleted Affair. You never know, it might become that if it ever gets animated, but I'm not holding out hope that that's going to happen. But that's something I thought was a neat exploration of the time between his time on Mobile Suit Gundam leading up to Zeta. So
well, what was cool about it was the escape from MAHQ.
Yes,
because Makube in that thing, he actually survives and he actually goes out like a big boss in that one. He actually would qualify for the first question. Yeah.
It all falls back.
It wasn't all about ding my base.
I can't think offhand of any non-canon things I wish were canon. I mean, the only thing that sort of comes to mind, but not really, is Macross 2 because, despite its flaws, I like Macross 2. But the thing about Macross 2 is the development of technology and the universe of Macross has diverged so far from the future that Macross 2 depicted, even though it's still further in the future than Frontier. There's no way you could integrate Macross 2 into the canon unless you completely reanimated it and changed a bunch of stuff around. So that's never going to happen.
Hey, plus it gave us one of the greatest characters of all time.
Dennis.
There you go.
Exactly. So now I can think of a canon sequel I wish was non-canon, and this may surprise some.
Oh, what's that? Let's hear this.
Shadow Chronicles.
That doesn't surprise me.
Okay.
Well, it is kind of surprising, but yeah, in a way.
Here's the reason why. Now, I'm well on the record for saying that Robotech served its purpose, and that purpose was over a long time ago. It's redundant. We don't need any more of it. What we need is for people to just get over all these other shows they don't care about and acknowledge Macross and let Macross come over here. So Robotech to me is a useless thing in the year 2013. It did its job and it did it well.
Right.
That being said, I can respect it for the story that it did in 1985, and it did a pretty damn good job at that.
Yeah.
Why would you then go and sully what it did with that trash that is Shadow Chronicles?
Dookie. Yeah, big time Dookie.
Especially when it's so badly animated with such horrible CG, and you make this movie that's an hour and a half long, and you waste the first half hour by redoing the last episode of Most Beta for no reason at all, and excluding almost the entire cast of Most Beta.
Yeah.
And having a story that makes no freaking sense.
Makes people angry and turn it off.
Yes. So, good Shadow Chronicles, go away. Nobody likes you.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, there's this new thing which I don't even want to watch this. I don't even want to know.
Love Alive?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been wanting to see it just out of curiosity. I guess the Robotech fan in me is smacked.
You have to resist the urge.
This is probably definitely curiosity will kill the cat on this one.
Man, Richard Epcar returns to voice a Lunk in there, so I don't know. I probably won't.
You know what? There's a lot of other things that you can watch Richard Epcar in, and Robotech doesn't have to be one of them.
You raise a very good point.
So, last question here from him is number 3. There are numbers of overclocking gimmicks in Mecha, i.e., Trans Am from 00, Seed from Seed, Dangan X from Gal Gaigar, Super Mode from G Gundam, etc. So, which is the dumbest of them all, and which is not too bad? A reason or two would be nice.
Well, it's easy. The ones you just outside of Seed Mode, because Seed Mode was just kind of dumb. The other ones, you said what? Trans Am, Dangan X, and Gal Gaigar, Super Mode, and G Gundam. Those are awesome. Those are cool. Some things that are kind of dumb. Seed Mode was kind of dumb because it never really went anywhere. It's
Seed Mode was garbage because it's this mysterious power that only a few people have, but it's always, main characters.
Yeah.
And it's never at all explained what it is, how you get it, or what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Throughout 2 series over the course of 100 episodes. They could never bother to actually explain what the hell it was.
Yeah, because they mess with you. They're like, oh, it's just coordinators that are getting this. And then it's like, oh, no, Kigali. It's like, I what is going on here? I don't even understand any of this. So, yeah.
They did not flesh it out well. Something I didn't enjoy all that much was the Zero system in Gundam Wing. I thought that I just found it weird that it would just drive some people insane and other people could overcome it. But eventually everybody had to kind of ride the bucking bronco at one point and tame it. And as cool as that was, it's like, okay, why does it make people nuts?
Well, you know what though? You say that, but I didn't mind the Zero system because when you look at if you look at the whole thing with Gundam Wing in the end, the overall message is, this is Trace's message is to make war, make people really learn from war. They have to experience the worst of war instead of using like robots and drones and stuff like that. So I didn't mind that. Were some of those episodes extremely long? Yes, they were, but I didn't mind that too much because I look at it now and it's almost like, wow, this is kind of, geez, Trace is like a man before his time in this aspect of, now we actually have within our real world, even our politicians questioning the use of unmanned robotic vehicles doing assassinations or killings or some stuff like that. So it is one of the, I see what you're saying because some of them were excruciating long, but I could see why it was what it was. If you look at what, you see what I'm saying? Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
I just thought it was just.
Yeah, it is kind of hokey, especially with Quattro, but anything with Quattro is just awful. So.
Damn, man. Catcher, the whipping boy of Gundam pilots.
Let's play music.
Wait a minute, that would be Shin.
Yeah, Shin's higher in the totem pole than Catcher is. Yeah.
You can't catch a break.
But Catcher's above Ko.
All right, so for me, a gimmick that seems pretty stupid is the modular system of Impulse. Specifically, not the system itself, but the fact that they inexplicably always launch it from the Minerva in pieces. Why do they do that? It makes no freaking sense. Why are you going to launch it in pieces, wait for it to assemble, then give it a silhouette pack? Just freaking launch it as base Impulse, equip the pack you're going to put on it, and let it go the same way that Strike used to launch from the Archangel of putting the pack on it. It makes no freaking sense, and it's just a waste of time seeing, silhouette flyer, take off, core splendor, take off, chest flyer, leg flyer, combine, silhouette flyer, take off. It's like, oh my god, this is such stupid filler.
And what makes it so bad is, unlike in Victory, where a lot of those pieces were like mass-produced pieces and sometimes used it as strategy when it came to your fight, it was like, it wasn't. That was just the system.
Just the same two pieces. Occasionally, they got new ones when, things were going on, like the Battle with Freedom. But for Christ's sakes, it's not like they had, to launch it in pieces because they don't have enough space to store the complete Gundam. Just launch the stupid thing in one piece.
That would make sense.
It made no sense. Yeah.
Don't you enjoy the G-Bull approach?
No.
Oh god.
That's another stupid gimmick while we're talking about. It's like, let's launch in this stupid tank plane abortion thing and then have to switch to the Gundam anyway because these stupid pieces of junk can't get the job done.
Or the midair docking with the gun parry.
Yeah, man, good times.
Woo! Thank God for those movies.
Woo. Yeah, so thank you for those questions. Moving on, we have Zero the Masked Knight, who says, "Hi, I'm a mid-time listener and long-time follower of your site. I've been following it since 2004 when Gundam Seed was airing on TV, and I was curious for details on all of the mecha in that show. As my interest in Gundam grew to UC and later 00, as I discovered Code Geass, I spent a fair amount of time going over either the mecha profiles or Chris's reviews. Then I discovered both of your podcasts in about early 2012 and have followed them ever since." So he disclaims that he's got some long questions, one of which we're going to skip because it's a couple of extremely long things about Capcom. So I'm going to institute a rule here, and that is we want to have things that are close to being on topic. So when it comes to Capcom specifically, even though we enjoy laughing about it and giving Solbro shit about it, the only Capcom questions we really want to take on Gundam are Mega Man because that's robots. Anything else,
or
ask
those
him on Fighters
games. Or those versus games. There's some of those kind
even
of versus.
If it's not a fighting game question, give it to Fighters Ready.
Fighters Ready. Yeah. I mean, unless Capcom is making a mecha-related game,
yes,
and it has something to do with mecha,
like Lost Planet,
then that's permissible because and don't just direct it to me. Direct it to all of us. I mean, if anything, that would be the fair thing to do. That's not to dissuade people from directly asking us questions specifically, but it's happened so much on the show that if you guys really want me to get in depth about that, either ask me on Twitter or ask me on Fighters Ready. And if you want to submit those questions, just go to fightersready.com.
Well, this is the perfect excuse of sometimes you have to use the carrot and sometimes you have to use the stick. So right now we're using the stick. Those questions over there, carrot. Oh, good question. There you go.
I appreciate the questions being asked, but just send them that way. We could use them.
All right, so the question we are covering says, for Chris, I'm curious if your recent interviews with voice actors both here in Gundam and Chaos Theater have changed the views you've expressed in past shows. For example, has your interview with Crispin Freeman in Chaos Theater changed the way you view innocence? And has your recent interview with Stephanie Shea changed the position you've expressed in Gundam Episode 92 and Chaos Theater Episode 24? I vividly recall that while you didn't excuse piracy, you understood that piracy was an understandable response to bad business decisions and that ultimately the responsibility fell on the distributors, Eastern and Western, who don't make their product more accessible. Not cheaper, but more accessible via streaming or release times or by not giving the fans what they want, i.e. no Japanese language. Neo and Solbro, your answers would be cool too.
Oh, thanks for including us.
To the first part, I would say not really. I mean, we talked to Crispin Freeman in detail about Ghost in the Shell, and then we talked later on here with Richard Epcar about it, specifically Innocence, and the things they brought up about the adaptation of that movie into English and talking about it as basically being Bato's Hamlet was interesting insight into the process of how that was handled, but it doesn't really really change my opinion that it's a plotting, boring, self-indulgent movie with a paper-thin plot. So, no, my opinion on Innocence has not changed. But it was good to know this behind-the-scenes information about the work that these guys put into adapting it and approaching such challenging material that's so dense in dialogue.
So even with the adaptation, you can't wash off the Oshi.
No.
Well, I mean, that's a perfect...
Not that Oshi's a bad thing. It's just his script in that movie was just really, really self-indulgent. Yeah, and I say this as a big fan of Oshi's work. That's not good.
Well, I mean, that brings up the great point is like, no matter how good like an actor or actress may be at their craft, in the end, if they're in a project, that project's only going to be as good as the project's written and how it flows. I mean, you can have...
They can only work so much with what they've got.
Yeah. I mean, and, they might be nice guys that you talk to, but I'm sure even they would... you get them behind closed doors, it might be, it didn't expect to be what they wanted to be. So I agree with you on that. It doesn't, I mean, I heard both the things, and yeah, Innocence is still, it's Innocence. So
yeah. And in regards to Stephanie Sheh and piracy, I would say, no, my views haven't changed. It's a thing that exists. It's always going to exist. There definitely needs to be better attitudes from fans, because there are people who don't give a crap anyway and would just torrent stuff for any reason. There's people who live in other countries and can't get the stuff. There's stuff that's out of print. All these issues. There definitely needs to be also a better response from distributors, which some are taking an effort to do. But obviously, Stephanie Sheh has very, very strong views on the subject, and you can't really blame her because it's her livelihood that's being threatened. I'm sure if, it was a thing that people were torrenting newspaper articles, I would feel just as strong about piracy as she does. But my livelihood is not threatened by piracy, so obviously I'm not going to feel about it the same way she does.
Your career has been vastly transformed by the internet. For the last decade, or actually 2 decades. So I mean, you've had to adapt to that. I mean, I feel strongly about piracy personally, but at the same time, there's certain things that I do that's considered piracy. I recently learned that every episode I post of this show on YouTube pretty much gets blocked worldwide because I use audio samples of music from certain shows, even though we're actually covering our shows. Our shows cover anime in a news type format, so I would figure it'd be permissible.
It's not, and YouTube they're dicks about that. Yeah. You can hear on This Week in Tech, Leo Laporte talking about it all the time because it happens to him too, even on his shows. And he's a freaking podcast king, and his stuff gets taken down anytime they use news clips or whatever, even though it's in news discussion and analysis, which is protected fair use. Yeah. So
which you can dispute, and I'm actually in the process of disputing some of these on some of the episodes of Gundam, because we actually are falling in the realm of fair use. I don't usually, I'm not purposely like taking an entire episode of a show and posting it in the
But these are also bots that are doing a lot of this searching. So
and it's automatic. So like
it's
upload something, it flags it right away. So if I dispute it, it takes the flag away. Although YouTube does have to review over that. And that's one of my biggest things, is that when it comes to the internet, a lot of corporations and private entities are quick to jump on and view something as piracy when you're actually trying to put your own spin on it. And I'm kind of a big supporter of the Creative Commons movement, for reinterpreting things and remixing things and being able to represent something not completely as it was beforehand, but to put your own spin on it or whatnot. I like that, and I think that companies need to make their material more accessible on the internet, so that way people are not encouraged to pirate, and B, they need to understand that people take stuff all the time and reinterpret it and put it back out there.
Well, let's not kid ourselves. Big content, they have way too much power. They have lobbyists and the law written in their favor. Just look at the battles over PIPA and SOPA, and their goal is to retain as much control. It's not about piracy, it's about control. They want to have as much control over everything, and they want you, the user, to have as little control. Just look at the moves to basically eliminate ownership of stuff, how Xbox was trying to do, and basically just make you a licensee.
Recently, Nintendo themselves have been on people's asses. Like, if you were doing anything on a Nintendo-based game and posting it on YouTube, you would not be able to monetize that. Like, say, for instance, you did a tutorial on Smash Brothers or a Nintendo-based game and put up footage on YouTube about how to go through a certain stage in the game or something like that. Nintendo would not allow you to profit off of the work you did to provide informative material about their game on YouTube. Or if you were covering the news on a Nintendo-based game and you showed Nintendo footage, you couldn't monetize that either, because Nintendo gets first rights to anything that contains footage of their stuff. So yeah, it's nuts, to say the least.
Well,
Anyway.
a lot of it comes just down to the simple fact of the laws are not been updated to what we're in. The other thing is, I think all sides are complicit in these issues, because for every person that tries to do a simple news thing like you, Soul Bro, there's a lot of people that there's another person that's out there just to try to make money or do something, blatantly stealing it. So I mean, there's this is an issue that is one of these situations where there's no simple fix, and I think that the corporations and the public, they need to get down to, and the governments as a whole too, they need to figure out what's what, because I'm not going to sit here and say I've never pirated anything, but I also can understand with somebody like Stephanie Shea, who makes her living on her talent that is done in something, and the basis of her getting more work is if it's been successful, and if something was not really successful sales wise, but yet is got 1 million downloads or something like that, I can understand her issue with that. So I think everybody needs to kind of look at this on all sides. Unfortunately, most people are set up where they can't just disconnect their immediate needs and look at it on all sides. And I think that that's the way that we need to look at it. And everybody's complicit in this, because this has been something that's been going on for at least the late 90s to early 2000s, and everybody's been holding back on it. So you could do a whole discussion on this, but I think the point is we just got to get to everybody's wrong on this one, and we just got to get to a medium. That's my cool answer.
Moving on, we have some questions from Sakura Angel, who says, "Hi guys, El Bastardo Mexicano is here with some random questions."
Oh, is he now?
Number 1, Joss Whedon or J.J. Abrams?
Whedon.
Now, I don't understand if the question is, who do you like more? Who do you want it to go away forever? If it's the former, Joss Whedon. If it's the latter, J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, same here.
Number 2, is anybody really checking Neon Alley? I have no idea, but honestly, I think Neon Alley is one of just the dumbest ideas ever.
Yeah. It does need some work, man.
Who the hell sets up an app on the PS3 and wherever else it's on? It's not streaming, but it's a linear channel with regular broadcast times like some cable channel. That just seems so backwards and counterproductive.
20th century.
And moronic.
Exactly. It doesn't make much sense in this day and age to make it so that it's a linear channel when you could do what Crunchyroll and other streaming services do, and these shows is available to be watched on demand.
I mean, seriously, who tunes in at a certain time to watch something anymore? Because honestly, everything I do these days is either DVR or streaming. There's only some shows that I will watch live because I need to see them instantly, like say Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad.
Oh yes.
Everything else is at a time of my choosing, and that's the way it's become. I watch things when I want to watch things, not when you tell me to watch things. So the entire idea of Neon Alley just seems completely stupid to me.
They still have time to go back and reinvent it if they choose to, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a model that works in this day and age at all.
Yeah. What about you, Neo? Any thoughts on Neon Alley?
I just think I think it goes back to the other question previously. It's just that when it comes to advertising, especially on streaming or something like that, it's still more lucrative to have the old model, and I think that's probably why they do it that way. I mean, that's usually how these things work. So in the end, it all comes down to money.
Well, one thing is a cable channel on actual TV. Another thing is a traditional channel as an app on a game console. Who actually is tuning in large? I want to know, like, who actually tunes in large numbers to watch, programming on an app?
Well, maybe that's the way they sell it. I don't know. I mean, there's so many things we don't know about the particulars that it's hard to speculate. But
yeah,
like you said, I mean, in the end, it's just not accomplishing the needs of today's consumer. So if you're not if nobody's watching, eventually it's going to go away. So there you go.
If any of our listeners actually are subscribed to Neon Alley, feel free to comment in this thread about your experience with it or what your thoughts are on it. We're kind of curious.
Yeah, I do want to know because I've never watched Neon Alley because the concept just seems too stupid to even waste my time on. So
I don't have the time to do it. So.
And his last question: having a conversation with Yuri Lowenthal at Comic-Con comes to mind this question. If you have in a cave 4 characters voiced by Yuri, who will die first and who will survive until the end? The people in the cave are Simone from Gurren Lagann, Ben 10, Yosuke from Persona 4, and Barnaby from Tiger and Bunny. Well, to me, this seems pretty simple. If you got 4 dudes in a cave, Simone, we know, becomes a space hobo, and he used to live under a cave.
Yeah.
So if anyone has the survival experience and would beat up everyone and kill them and live, it's going to be Simone.
Indeed.
Yeah, I agree.
I will say this, Yosuke would be the first to die. I'm familiar with Persona 4 only because of the arena game, and Yosuke.
No surprise.
He don't got the nuts to make it. I'm not familiar with Ben 10 or Barnaby, though.
Not familiar with Ben 10? What are you, communist?
I know I've seen the commercials for his show, but I've never watched it. But I know Chris has seen Tiger and Bunny. What do you think his chances are?
Chances are pretty good. I mean, he's got superpowers and he's got a power armor suit, so yeah, he could
do that. Yeah, I'm down with that.
So next we have a question from Bloody Knight, which we're not going to do because I already called this out before on Chaos Theater, so I'm going to call out it again here for the benefit of Gundam listeners.
Okay.
Do not give us cut and paste questions.
Okay.
I do not like that. That's very annoying. If you're going to ask a question for Gundam, ask a damn question for Gundam. If you're going to ask something for Chaos Theater, make it specific for that.
Okay.
Do not take a question, copy it, paste it, and change the name of the podcast. We don't do that. It really annoys me, so don't ever do it.
Well, all right. I now know.
Yes. Next, we have Black Belt Sam, who says, "Greetings. This is Sam, a.k.a. that jerk that happens to know Dalo. Quick question. What is your favorite mecha from a non-mecha series? Mine would have to be the Magitech armor that appears in Final Fantasy VI. Also, the Egg Dragoon from Sonic Unleashed is kind of cool, too." Wow, Sonic Unleashed.
Well, actually, shout outs to both Dalo and Sam, which I had the chance to hang out with when I went to San Diego a couple weeks ago. It was really cool hanging out with you guys, and I got to meet Sam in person.
Yeah, but isn't a mecha? Doesn't just the point of, to an extent, having a mecha isn't going to be a mecha series in a way?
I mean,
no, there's series that do not have, that are not mecha as we think of them, but may have a mecha in them. For example, my answer, which might be stealing Soul Bros, the French knight mecha from Gankutsuo.
Yes.
It's not at all a mecha series, but a mecha plays a role for 1 or 2 episodes. So you have things like that, and the Magitech armor, because Final Fantasy VI, not at all a mecha game, but it happens to have those Magitech armors.
Yeah, that crazy mecha and robot carnival. There you go.
But there you go. For me, it's not a series, but I'll throw this in there because it's the first time I saw something like this in a movie. Ed 209 from RoboCop, man. Ed 209, and the revamp for him in the new movie.
Isn't that a mecha series though?
I know. That's why I prefaced it with the fact that it's not a series; it's more of a movie. But
but isn't it a mecha movie though? Or Cyborg? Or are you going to Cyborg?
It's more cyberpunk, I would say, because of the kind of the slant that it has.
Yeah, it's more like real history right now.
Yeah. You joke, but no, that's it's starting to get that way. But I've been looking up a lot of stuff about the remake that's coming out. I think next year, and Ed 209 looks really sleek and even more dangerous.
Can't wait! So excited.
Hey man, I'm looking forward to it because the people involved are very good, and especially the director, man. I'm hoping it turns out well, although it has the chance to turn out like ass. So, but Ed 209, I would definitely throw that into the ring.
All right, we have some more questions next from Yokozuna Bulldozer, who says, "Hello, which seems scarier, Skynet-controlled Doraemon or Dark Energon-fueled Haros?"
Both.
Ooh, Dark Energon-fueled Haros, because they probably turn into those buzzsaw balls. What are they called? The bugs?
The bugs.
Yeah, it's just like in the Turn A Gundam comic.
Yeah,
that's probably what they end up being. Terrible.
I think I know what Neo's answer is.
It's both.
Oh wow.
Anything robotic's got to go down, dude. Sorry. Anything controlled by a freaking AI or that's a robot, no, it's got to go
Human
down.
piloted is got to go.
Even then, because you got the robo collaborators, robo lovers, what we call them.
I think I'm going to go with the Haros because there's just more of them. So,
and they're cute. That's the problem. Their cuteness would be like, oh, he's such a cute little rolling ball robot. Oh, he just ate my face. Yeah,
pretty much.
Nice.
Number 2, Neo. Name and describe to us the super combining robot of your dreams, something along the lines of Gal Gaigar or Dan Cougar, with you as your main pilot and your brothers in arms composed of Lord Bay, the Admiral, and King Larry.
Oh.
Please bellow out combining sequence catchphrase.
Oh my God. So it'd be, it would be like Gal Gaigar. Okay, I would be we'd have to bring it out of retirement because it's an old plane, but it's still freaking badass. I'd be in the SR-71.
Okay.
So, and then Lord King would be in, oh God, what would he be in? What's a freaking, oh my gosh.
Mustang, because it's old like him.
Yeah, a
Mustang fighter.
Yeah, exactly. Old Mustang fighter. The Admiral, of course, would be in the freaking Galactica. That'd be the main part of the body. And Lord Bay would be it would be like an Italian supercar that transforms and flies in the air. And our catchphrase, our combining sequence would be go, killer robot that kills other robots. Long live the humans, die all robots.
That's a little long-winded.
Doesn't matter.
And as the bonus,
how dare you crap on my show and my combining sequence?
Like, wouldn't something like say "Go Explosions" be better?
We could do. Oh yeah, we could do that.
Terrible.
We could. Well, that would be what I said originally. That's for the first episode of the series, and then we'll go to Go Explosions. The subsequent when we cut down the combining.
Talking about your combining catchphrase of like the robots coming together. So you don't want some whole speech there. You want something quick and snappy like Go Explosions.
Go Explosions. Mustache Explosions Go. We could. Oh
wow.
Suspenders. Mustache Explosions Go.
There you go.
And as a bonus, man, they could all take off from the helicarrier that's captained by Old Man from Pawn Stars.
Well, no, it'd be a secret base in Nevada.
Oh, it would be. That's true. I forgot about that.
By American 51, Area 51.
Mirror.
Flip.
Awesome.
All right. Number 3, Solbro.
Uh-oh.
With recent Capcom fighting titles getting the HD treatment, do you think Tech Romancer has a shot at an HD makeover? Now, before you answer this, as the journalist, I have to jump in and take some issue with the wording of this.
All right, go ahead.
Because just because an old game is being ported to a new console and there's some pixel smoothing and like a little like fancy background, that does not make it an HD makeover.
No, it doesn't.
The only Capcom fighting game that has gotten an HD makeover full on has been Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix.
Yeah, pretty much.
Everything else has just been, pixel smoothing, sprite smoothing. Yeah, so not at all the same thing. So with that in mind, please answer the question.
Answer it in short, no, I don't think so. Tech Romancer was not a barn burner when it came out. It's a fun game. If you can find it, play it, because it's made in part by Shoji Kawamori. And if you like his work, you really love the parodies of different mecha series that he puts into that game. I think it's really cool.
I mean, not only that, it's way too obscure, and things that are not so obscure, like Darkstalkers, the recent port of that failed miserably, according to Capcom. So they're not going to be doing any ports in the near future. So they're certainly not. If something like Darkstalkers, which is much more well known than Tech Romancer, failed, then there's no way that something like Tech Romancer is going to get ported, or the General's longtime favorite rival schools.
Oh man, the General must have been. I meant to ask you, and I hate to delve into this Capcom topic, but the news about Breath of Fire 6, did it tear you up? Because I know you're a fan of that series, the RPG series of Breath of Fire. I believe you're a fan, and possibly the General is too, and the fact that they're making it like some crap
browser social mobile game. Screw that.
Yeah, I was a little
you know what?
that too.
I don't even care that they're making some crap mobile social garbage in-app purchase, most likely piece of junk. You dare to put the number 6 in it.
Yeah, it's like
it's a real game. It's not. Don't give me that crap.
They could have just made like some offshoot series and called it that, but the fact that they're making it the actual 6th chapter of Breath of Fire, it's like, dude, why not just?
It's like, how dare you?
Why not make a 3DS game? It would sell like gangbusters. I was like, I don't understand the reasoning, but I guess they want to break into the browser game / mobile gaming market.
They want to break into the nickel and dime you like EA does.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
His last question is aimed at me, and he says, Chris, as you know, your beloved sacred beast, Grumpy Cat, it's getting its own movie. Here's the question. How far will you go to show your enthusiasm for Grumpy Cat? Will you stop at just getting a few Grumpy Cat related goods, or just go all out and start a Grumpy Cat convention, aka GrumpyCon?
There you go.
Well, I think to be properly appreciative of Grumpy Cat and all her grumpiness, the only way to approach things would be to be completely apathetic and not interested.
There you go. Yeah. Because it's bound to turn out like the Fred movies. I'm hoping it turns out better than that, but internet sensation Fred, he put out 2 piece of shit movies that my little niece can't stop watching. And if that's any indicator of a YouTube an internet meme or an internet personality becoming a movie star, then we don't got much to look forward to when it comes to the Grumpy Cat film.
Yeah.
Not much at all.
So we have next a question from Pug Life, who says, hey all, first time poster, long time listener. I highly enjoy listening to you guys. Keep up the good work. I know this is a question about video games, but one that contains mecha.
Oh my God.
Did anyone see the trailer and gameplay footage of Titanfall revealed at E3 last week? This question was posted in June for the record. I can't wait for its release. The combination of Call of Duty-like gameplay and Titan Ordnance drops gets me excited about the next console generation. Will it be enough for any of you to purchase a PS4 or Xbone sooner rather than later? Now, as far as I understand, this game right now is PC and Xbone.
It's I guess developed by
Spawn.
Yeah, Respawn Entertainment.
Which is everyone who jumped ship from Infinity Ward after all of that nasty business with Activision.
Yeah, that's right.
I wonder if they'll go back since now that Activision Blizzard's been sold off.
I don't think so. I mean, this was a big lawsuit with...
Well, there's always that point of, here comes a cash truck. I'm driving the cash truck.
Well, the answer, I know this much. I'll answer that second question. I never adopt systems when they first come out because they are loaded with problems. But, when the time comes, I'll get the system that gives me the best deal. As for Titanfall, I'm definitely getting that on the PC, son. I got a great PC that could run that game, and I'll pick that up on that one. It's also it's multiplayer only, so there's a story mode, but you have to play it in multiplayer. So yeah, that's going to be a unique experience, especially if you enjoy playing games by yourself. Then you may not take too kindly to that. But the game looks neat. I love the fact that you can either choose to go with just a soldier who does parkour stunts and has a lot of advantages and a lot of mobility, or you can choose to use your own mecha and decide to wreck the battlefield with that. So if it plays like the Call of Duty games, it's going to be interesting.
I am interested in it, so I will pick it up on PC since I will definitely not be buying the Xbone.
There you go.
We next have K173 who says, hello, Gundam trio. I'm watching the new Appleseed 13 series right now, and putting aside thoughts on the show itself, I'm most struck by their evolution of cel-shaded animation where it's stylized to the point of looking like moving, rendered manga-style art rather than the flatter style cel shading of the past. What do you guys think about the current evolution of cel-shaded, heavily CG-enhanced animation styles making their way into new shows, and does it simply make you nostalgic for the times when cheap Korean animation labor drew the cells the old-fashioned way?
We're looking at you, Dong Yang.
I'd have to say it. I think it would depend on what type of show it is. It's like, something maybe heavily actionized, like a mecha show or something like that, where you want a little bit more detail and you want some of that stuff. I like that. But then again, I don't want it like some of those Ogonzo shows where it was like, oh, this is truly the computer animation. And it just looks a little hokey. But, I don't know. I'm not one of these people where it's like, oh my God, I hate cell shading. Everything's got to be hand drawn like it was. But I think it just depends on the show and the mood and the tone of it. And I think that's where I'm at with it. As long as it seems like it works within the scope of the show, I'm good with that. So, but yeah, I mean, stuff with CG, I mean, just in general, every year it's getting better and better. So, as long as it doesn't look stupid and it doesn't look dated, because that's the other thing is, like, after something ages for a couple of years, you just don't want to go back to it and be like, oh my God, this looks awful. So, I mean, I know I'm being like kind of Soulbro Switzerland on this, but wow. I think it just depends on what it is and the scope of the show. I think that's the biggest thing with me. And but I do sometimes like cheap Korean animation, because I mean, in a way, after watching Pacific Rim, I was like, as great as this show looks, or as this movie looks, I kind of wouldn't mind seeing a version of it all in rubber suits with men in rubber suits.
There you go.
I really wouldn't.
And some Ray Harryhausen animation.
Yeah. Stop motion.
Let's take it old school.
Give it to me all.
I mean, over the last decade,
from the ashes of Vietnam War II.
Over the last decade, this approach has been creeping its way into animation for quite some time. Like, you watch Gundam Seed, when you see the ships and how they're CG animated, or recently when we watch Gargantia, and the mecha in that show is all CG cell shaded type of mecha there. And what's that?
Show looks so good.
Yeah, it looks.
I can't crap on it. That's the thing, and it worked for that show.
And that's the advance of it, is that it's starting to look almost like it fits. Even going back to Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, the cars and a lot of the vehicles are all CG designed and CG animated.
Just keep hand drawing the Major's boobs, right?
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, it looks good in that show. You could still tell that they're CG cell shaded, but they look great. I'll cite an example that's not a show, but blew my mind when I saw it.
Not a show, but blew his mind.
It blew my mind when I saw it. If you haven't seen it yet, look at the trailer for the latest Guilty Gear Xrd trailer. And when I first saw the trailer began,
mind blown.
You see the characters, and they're on the 2D plane. But then when they start to fight, the camera goes 360, and you finally realize
they're in 4D.
These cel-shaded characters are in 3D. And then I've watched a couple videos of the location test that's going on in Japan right now. When the characters do super moves and stuff like that, they take advantage of like the cel-shaded animation, and it's a nice blend of 2D hand-drawn animated sprites going into these 3D situations, which I'm mind blown. I give it up to Arc System Works for doing such a great job on that. And if they can do that in animation for animated series, then I think that's going to be the future of animation coming up. And I look forward to seeing more of that.
It's the future of animation.
There you go.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, is it cheaper though? Because they always talk. Does it really have to be cheaper? Do you know this? Because
to me, it is cheaper because you don't have to redraw sprites, or you don't have to redraw cells. You just have these models that you animate, and the animation can come from actual people moving or doing motion capture. And to me, it's a lot less time consuming for them to do it.
But I mean, is that in all reality though? Not in your warped reality, but no, is that actually the way it works? Because I just sometimes wonder. I know from what I understand with computer animation and stuff like that, it's still pretty labor intensive. I mean, so I don't know if it's gonna
things and rendering animation. I'm sure that it's not cheap either, but I think it's cheaper and more cost effective to do it with 3D models than it is to hand draw on every frame. I think that is more time consuming and costs more money, honestly. And it's
I don't know, Chris, do you know anything about that? Because that's always been my issue with it. Is I always thought, if there's a way to get the shows out quicker or to keep the consistency, that's the thing. But from what I understand, when it comes to computer animation, it's not always that much quicker than hand drawing stuff. Or it's more efficient now.
I don't know offhand, but I would just think that even though it is labor intensive, if you have models in a computer that you can manipulate, it's not the same as hand drawing something and then scanning that in and working within that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how any of that stuff works. So, I mean, I would, and if there's anybody that's like seriously in this stuff, I'd like to kind of know, because it's a little interesting, because you would think that technology would make it easier and all that, but I don't know. I mean, it takes a, I mean, I don't know. Well, it's cool though. In Soulbro's world, it's cheaper and quicker, but
no, man, I've had it explained to me that it is cheaper, only because hand drawing takes a lot longer, and it is it's just harder to go back and re-edit things when I have a mistake in that, as opposed to doing it with a computer, where it's a lot more easier to handle and manage. So it's well, I don't know. I've heard different on that, especially when it comes to rewriting code. But I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a software person, so I don't know. I'm not a learned man on the subject either. I know what I've read, and I know what I've in the conversations I've had. I know I've had where people believe that it is cheaper. So, and at least in the long run, it will be.
All right, and with that, we will wrap up the mailbag. So please be sure to drop those questions on the thread and the voicemails on Google Voice. So back to you, Soulbro.
Well, thank you, Chris. And that brings our episode to the end. Before we wrap things up, any last things you guys wanted to say to take us home?
No.
Nothing, huh? All right, you guys are just jumping at the bit. I wanted to give a couple shout outs. One major shout out to my man Mitsugi from the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Recently, just like Neo got his rush stamps in the mail, I was sent a unopened Super Famicom game of Mobile Suit Gundam.
Famicom?
Super Famicom, yes. A Super Famicom game that was unopened. He sent one to me. He found it at a store. It is Gundam 0079 Cross Dimension. He sent me a sealed copy of that game, and many thanks to him for doing that. It's now sitting on my shelf of all my Gundam knickknacks and
paddywhacks.
And paddywhacks, indeed. So,
did you even check to see how much that is on eBay right now?
I never checked. If anything, I'm
should. Let's see. Let's see this. This is a Super Famicom game, Gundam 0079 Cross Dimension. Okay, yeah, let's see what this is, because
isn't that the game with the Gundam Pixie?
I'm not sure. I have no idea. I've never even heard of it until he sent it to me. So
perhaps someone can check on MAHQ.net where there's a mecha section for that. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that's the Gundam Pixie.
I also wanted to add that people were giving Mitsugi a hard time about his review for Pacific Rim. Shout outs for him to actually going to the movies and seeing it. He didn't really enjoy the movie, but I noticed that there was a little bit of...
Shout outs for him to go to a movie.
Hey, man, he actually went to go see it, and he reviewed it. And
oh, wow, this game's not worth anything online.
Hey, there you go.
Not worth anything on... yeah, the most is... $49. Yeah, just keep it.
Hey, there you go. I didn't plan on selling it anyway. It was a gift.
I would. Nah.
It was a gift that I enjoy, and many thanks to Mitsugi.
Always think of ways of turning things into cash.
Hey, man, I don't sell people's gifts to me, but for those who are giving him a hard time on the MAHQ face group, it's his opinion on his opinion on the movie, and don't give him a hard time if he disliked it. His co-host on the show enjoyed it, so people are entitled to their own opinion. Even my co-host on Fighters Ready, Nick the Stampede, didn't care much for Pacific Rim either, so that's a whole nother conversation. But many thanks to Mitsugi for sending that game to me, and I guess that will lead us into checking out these websites. When you have time, definitely peep these websites. Head on over where the magic happens. MAHQ.net. That's the Mecha and Anime headquarters. Also, make sure you visit Gundam.net, the official website for the Gundam at MAHQ podcast, and where you can download and find information on this episode and our entire back catalog. Join in on the conversation at mechatalk.net, where you can also find official forums for Gundam, where you can submit questions, topics, and reply to anything that we said in this episode. All other links for Gundam at MAHQ can be found at about.me/Gundam. There you will find links to us on iTunes, Facebook, YouTube, and our other media facets. After listening to Gundam, the next podcast you should be listening to is Chaos Theater, MAHQ's other podcast that focuses on other facets of nerddom, hosted by the webmaster of MAHQ himself, Chris Guanche, and everybody's favorite pedal bear of the South, Pedro Cortez. Listen to them at chaostheater.blogspot.com. Shinjuku Station also has a podcast that focuses on fighting games, called Fighters Ready, hosted by Gundam's own Soubro Ryu and his co-host, Nick the Stampede. Fight your way on over to fightersready.net, where you can download episodes and join in on the conversation. And that's it for episode 129 of Gundam at MAHQ. We'll see you guys next time.
For thousands of years, we have endured countless battles. This may mark the end of the Age of Primes. Do I yet live?
Only to serve me.
I know now what I require.
My legion.
This is how it ends?
Gundam at MAHQ is a
Shinjuku Station
and MAHQ.net joint.
I'm on the Starship Enterprise Mackinac Yeoman Ran while the Andorian with the disruptors back on Talos 4 or whatever.
What do you think all those sparkles and shit are? The transporters are breaking you apart, man, down to your molecules and bones. They're making a copy. That dude who comes out on the other side, he's not you. He's the color Xerox.
So you're telling me every time Kirk went into the transport, he was killing himself? So over the whole series, there's like 147 Kirks.
At least. Dude, yo, why do you think McCoy never likes to beam nowhere? Cause he's a doctor, bitch. Look it up, it's science.
I ever tell you about my Star Trek script?
Star Trek script?
Yeah, I gotta write it down is all. The Enterprise is 5 parsecs out of Rigel 12. Nothing's going on, neutral zone is quiet, the crew is bored, so they put on a pie eating contest. The whole crew's in the galley. They're eating Tullaberry pies. Tullaberries from Gamma Quadrant, yo.
That's Voyager, dude.
Okay, blueberries then. They're eating blueberry pies.
Better.
As fast as the replicator can turn them out. Finally, it's down to just 3. Kirk, Spock, and Chekhov. Okay, Spock always wins these things.
How is Spock gonna beat Kirk, yo? Spock's like a toothbrush. Look at Kirk, he's got room to spare.
Spock has total Vulcan control over his digestion. You wanna hear this or not?
Yeah, go.
Okay, finally, Kirk, he can't take it anymore. He yorks. Now it's just down to Chekhov and Spock. But Chekhov, you see, he's got a whole fat stack of Quatloos writing on this. And he has figured out a way to win. He's got Scotty back in the transporter room, locked in on Chekhov's stomach. Every time Chekhov eats a pie, Scotty beams it right out of him.
Where's he sending him? The toilet?
Space! There's blueberries just floating out there, frozen because it's in space, and Chekhov is just shoveling them into his mouth, and Spock's like, I can't believe this Russian is defeating me. Meanwhile, Scotty's in the transporter room fiddling with levers when Lieutenant Uhura comes in, and she's got, her big pointies, and Scotty's fingers are all sweaty.
No.
Chekhov screams, he sprays blood out of his mouth. Oh. Scotty beamed his guts into space.
No way!
Hey man, where are you going? You're missing the best part.